Aaron Newell, welcome back to the program.
Thank you. Thank you.
Did
Glad to
you
be.
see did you see Ryan Atkins' post about um, what happened?
What happened? Did something happen?
Well, something
Is he
happened.
okay?
Something happened. Um, I'm going to read it for the people. I witnessed Hunter hitting Aaron, parentheses hard exclamation point, right in front of me, followed by Aaron's retaliation and bucket throw. Before the event, there was a lot of tension and trash talk. I was pretty disappointed to see this behavior spelled like a good Canadian,
Yeah,
IOUR.
I know.
In our sport, it's so polite. It seemed like poor sportsmanship and a display of bullying, crying face. Now, I've seen a lot in my day. Most know I've covered this sport since its early days. I have never seen a bucket thrown during competition. Aaron Newell,
Yo,
what do you have to say for yourself?
what people don't understand is that throwing a bucket that heavy is actually really hard to do. um, yeah, so I'll just backtrack real quick. I'll just give you the quick skinny on what happened. So before the event, I came across a concept deck by Spartan that basically outlined Hunter being the villain of the Spartan Games, and I was like, hey, this is kind of fucked up. Here you go, Hunter. Here's what it is. Let's try to not let this happen, because I think that's pretty unfair that they're already trying to cast you as this asshole. And he was like, thank you so much. And then we talked for a while about it, about how to go about it so that this wouldn't happen. And talked to Atkins about it, talked to everyone at the Spartan Games about it, made sure everybody knew about it, talked to the Spartan VPs about it, and was like, just so you know, I've seen the concept deck, and I think this is kind of fucked up, and maybe let's not do this, because Hunter is capable of being a decent human being and not being an asshole and creating drama for no reason. So yeah, we get there, and me and Atkins are both like, hey guys, to the people in charge at Spartan, we're like, just so you know, Hunter has very frequently done this really freaking annoying thing where he hits you or pushes you or does whatever. And Hunter just likes to say rubbing is racing, which is just rubbing shoulders, throwing elbows and whatever, which yeah, I guess so. I don't really understand why, because
Well, have you seen the movie Days of Thunder?
I have not.
Well, this is where I would insert the quote from the movie if I was a good producer. So let's pause in case I decide to do that.
All right. Moment of silence.
So, young Tom Cruise is a really good driver, but he's young, he's inexperienced.
Yeah.
He gets in the track, and this guy, kind of a hunter type, if you will, gets up against him, right? And Hunter's like, what the fuck? He crashed into me. He's like, nah, son, he rubbed you. And rubbing is racing.
Yep.
That's where that comes from. Go ahead. Please proceed.
Oh, okay. So yeah, Hunter does it all the time, and we were like, look, can you guys come up with some plan in case this happens, because it's probably gonna happen. And like meanwhile, we're talking to Hunter and we're like, hey, make sure this doesn't happen, because we don't want to intentionally create drama when all of us just want a legit sports competition. Um, so yeah, get to the farm, whatever, talk to people. I was also told ahead of time that Joe would be having us carrying rocks up a hill, which I talk to the people in charge of the Spartan Games, and they're like, no way, it's definitely not going to happen, 100% not going to happen. And then Joe shows up and it happens, and the people in charge were like, what the fuck, Joe, we told you not to do this, we wanted to put on a legit race. And
Is this when Joe said to you, who is this guy anyway? Does he need to be
no,
here?
okay, this whole thing is going to tie together, I promise. um so we do the rock thing, whatever, who cares. Some of us leave early because we're like, this is stupid. We didn't come here to carry rocks. We came here to race. Um, and so we go back down. We finally go to dinner. Um, go to dinner. Joe shows up with Lauren Longfield, who like is fine. She's a good person. But apparently Joe had told her a week before to show up, and he would get her into the games. without going through Morris, without going through Nathan Rackett, who were both in charge of the whole thing. And meanwhile, didn't tell his staff any of this. So like they had no way to like know ahead of time whether or not she got COVID tested. So like not only is there a random girl who Joe's trying to get into this race, there's a random girl who we don't know if she has COVID tests. And then I go, well, can you like show us her COVID test? And he's like, yeah, sure, whatever. Like she doesn't need a COVID test, but like here it is. And I was like, oh, so she knew ahead of time. And I was like, Joe, like since you're so lax about this, did you get COVID tested? And he was like, I haven't gotten fucking COVID tested this entire pandemic. And I was like, oh, good thing we're in a bubble here, because like we had to get 2 COVID tests to come here. And then he's like, I'm just joking. And I'm like, that's not really something you joke about, especially right now when we all took our masks off now. So yeah, he's trying to get this girl in. He keeps being like, let's take a vote. And we're not voting her in because it fucks up everything. There's supposed to be like teams of 4, and now there will be 13 people. And we're like, no. And then eventually we're like, okay, like we don't care. We really don't care. And I forget what happened, but basically, Joe called me really unprofessional. And I said, no, what's unprofessional is that you owe me $13,000. And he laughed at me and said, do you think I care that I owe you $13,000? I owe vendors $7 million. And I was like, oh, that sucks. And he was like, do we need this asshole here? Like, can he just leave? Can I kick him out right now? And I was like, fine. Like, if you want to like bully all of us into like allowing this girl to race, then like go for it. Like, I don't care anymore. I've like said my piece. And there's like a shit ton of camera footage of this whole thing that Spartan has.
Well, I don't think that's going to make the program.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to make it on there.
We need to back up here. We need to back up. There's a lot of accusations going on. First of all, I'm not centered in this photo.
Oh, I mean,
this frame.
You can talk to everyone there. They're not exactly accusations.
Okay, so let's back up. Why does Spartan Race, not Joe DeSena personally, but why does Spartan Race LLC owe you, Aaron Newell, 13,000 American dollars?
So I signed a contract for $3,000 for travel, and I was told that if I signed that contract, that I would get $7,500 from Lazarus CBD and another $2,500 from Fresh Meal Plan.
Hang on one second. I want to back up a little bit. CBD, they're sponsoring athletes?
No, so Lazarus apparently paid like over $1 million to be like in the vendor village and like sponsor like a handful of athletes. And the way in which Spartan has been negotiating contracts is that they're like, hey, we don't really want to give you any money, but like, here's this deal with this company. And like, if you sign the Spartan contract, you will get this sponsorship with this company through Spartan. And like Spartan draws up all the paperwork and blah, 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 blah. So that's basically how they've been negotiating contracts recently.
So you were,
and I can actually talk about all this because they've breached my contract repeatedly. So
okay. Well, just again, I want to let's just try to see with facts here and not feelings.
Yeah. No, it's fine.
I was making a joke because everybody's got a CBD sponsor. That was my joke about. I haven't heard of Lazarus CBD. I'm sure they're fine people.
Except me.
Riverbend is making a splash, however, as is Venga and several others. Riverbend just signed on to be a sponsor of this program.
Oh, cool. Which I actually met them in February, and I was like, no, like I think you guys are great, but I'm supposed to be getting $7,500 from Lazarus.
Now, do they have a force majeure clause that says if the season doesn't happen, we don't have to pay you?
No. And they also don't have a clause in there that says if only one race happens, then you only get paid like 1/7 the amount of travel. It's just a lump sum.
So so prior to this confrontation in Vermont, did you bring this up to whoever you with at Spartan?
Yes. And what was it up to everyone at Spartan?
And what was their response?
The response was like basically like, oh, like if you want to lawyer up, go for it. And I was like, he's like, like, yeah, I could lawyer up, but that's going to cost me just as much as I'm going to get. Like, or you could just like not like do this and just pay me what you owe me. Which like, yeah, I don't know.
Okay. So
So that's like not that important in this whole scheme of things.
can we get this guy out of here? Does he even need to be here?
Yes. Yes. So up until this point, I've never talked to Joe ever. Like I've been in the same room with him numerous times. World championships, I've been like right next to him, never met him. I went to the opening of Decafit, never. He just like talked over me at things. So this is the first time I've ever met Joe, and he's like, "Who the fuck?" Actually, what he said was, "Who the fuck is this guy? Get him out of here!" And I like laughed and was like, "Okay, I'm done. Like, I don't really feel like getting kicked out. I'd rather just take your money." So that's that night. And so like eventually he forces everyone to come to the conclusion that Lauren Longfield is going to race but not count. So that's why there's like photo of like Lauren Longfield and Lindsay finishing the ultra together, because like if Lindsay was racing her, she would have just outkicked her or whatever. But like, so like kind of ruined all this footage and whatever. But is she in the program? I haven't watched it.
She can be spotted in the background a few times, but if you're looking for her, right?
Yeah,
like if you just see 12 athletes, your eyes aren't necessarily going to focus. Although someone did show me where she was behind the women at the start of the Spartan Cross, which I didn't understand. But let's call her the indirect object in this situation. Let's call her an innocent bystander for whatever.
Which is what she was, because it was so awkward. It was the most awkward thing I've ever been involved with.
It doesn't make sense unless you know Joe, and then you know that Joe kind of does what he wants, even if it's to the detriment of something else.
Okay, so
now let's get back to race 1, event 1.
Yep.
Now, from the angle I saw, and I know it wasn't a close angle, I would call it more of a love tap. It did appear, it wasn't like a whack. Like when when he whacked Isaiah at TMX, that was like legit. This did appear to be a little bit softer.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it was like the hardest I've ever been hit or anything like that. But what happened was I had a bucket on my neck because I can't get one arm around it because I'm not that big, and Hunter is that big and he can get one arm around it, so he doesn't have to run with both arms up. That's why he was able to hit me. And like, had I only had one arm up, I could have just punched him back, but instead I had both up. So then I was like, fuck it, like this bucket's probably going to come down anyway. Like it I don't know what Spartan did with the footage, but it was literally like hit in the stomach, throw the bucket. It wasn't like hit in the stomach, 20 seconds later, throw the bucket.
No, they showed it. I mean, did you watch?
No, I didn't watch it.
Would you like to watch?
Not really.
Okay. All right.
I was there.
I could pull it up. No, they showed. They showed that.
Yeah. So basically it was like a split second thing where I was like, this bucket's going to fall on the ground because I just got hit in the stomach. Like it was like closed fist and just like backhand to the stomach. But what happened was I throw the bucket, hit him in the back, and then proceed to have an asthma attack the rest of the race because he hit me in the stomach. So like, yeah, he didn't like horribly harm me, but he like totally ruined my race.
So you're asthmatic. This caused I
actually do have asthma. It's not really like a problem. I don't know if it was an asthma attack, but it was like an asthma attack. I don't know if he hit me in like the solar plexus or something, but it like fully, like I just went into like lag mode after that.
So what place did you finish in the race?
4th. Like I literally was like walking between obstacles. Like I couldn't breathe.
What did they take away your 4th place finish for throwing a bucket?
So here's where that whole story gets tied in. So get to the finish, and during the race, Hunter's, every time he sees somebody, goes, "You got to DQ Aaron. You got to DQ Aaron."
Like during the race?
Yeah, during the race, he's like running around being like, Nathan Rackett, you got to DQ him, Morris. What the fuck? Aaron just threw a bucket at me. Blah 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 blah. And he's like bitching and moaning the whole like. This is why his whole like rubbing is racing thing is like total fucking BS. Like it's only rubbing is racing if Hunter's doing the rubbing, and he loves rubbing guys out. But yeah. So we get done with the race, and I'm like, hey Morris, am I disqualified? And he was like, why would you be disqualified? And I was like, are you kidding me? How did you not see this? Like it happened like 90 seconds into the race. And he's like, I didn't see it. I don't know what you're talking about. And I'm like, well, Hunter hit me in the stomach and my bucket happened to fall onto him. And he was like, what do you mean? I was like, well, he hit me in the stomach and my bucket fell onto him. And he was like, oh, well, I'll go talk to Hunter. And then he like talks to Hunter, and Hunter's like, he's such a piece of shit. He just like I just gave him a slap on the butt and was like, good job. And then he threw a bucket at me. And I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? And then Atkins gets involved and he's like, yeah, he punched him in the stomach and Aaron threw a bucket at him, like as like anyone would do if their hands were tied up and like
Well,
bucket in their neck.
I don't know that I agree with that's what anyone would do, but okay.
I mean, like, I even asked, like, Morris, I was like, what would you do in this scenario? And he's like, yeah, I'd probably throw the bucket. And I was like, yeah, like, unless you have, like, no respect at all for yourself, then you're going to throw the bucket.
Have you seen that? Have you seen that show where they take a woman and they put her in a restaurant and everyone pretends to be mean to her and they go,
that sounds
what
horrible.
would you do?
Probably be mean to her. I don't know.
It's really lame. My kids actually got into it. Or they show someone being disrespected because they're black or they're gay or they're overweight, and they're mean, and then they see how people and they go, look at this guy, he just turns and walks away, and then they show, but look at this family, they came in to help. What would you do?
But yeah. So the other thing is that
so you weren't being truthful when you said it fell on him.
Oh yeah, not at all.
Okay.
But up until that point, they didn't have footage. So they were like, we don't have footage. We can't like corroborate this. But like, oh, what? You expect me to like, you expect me to get hit in the stomach, throw a bucket at him and like take the opportunity to be honest? Fuck that.
Okay.
Like, hell no.
So the mean old drone caught you.
Yeah. So the mean old drone caught me. But God, there's so many different moving parts in this whole thing. So the only other time I've raced Hunter, like literally I've never raced Hunter except one other time, which was a swim run in Boulder. And when I got out of the car, he punched me in the back so hard that I had a bruise a week later. When I was warming up, he kept running up to me and just like trying to like punch my legs as hard as he could. Let's see, we get on the start line, which is in the water. Gun goes off. He has Matt Kempson hold me on the start line by my shorts for 10 seconds, which was like hilarious. But at the same time, you're like, what the fuck? Now I have to pass all these people in the water and I like already don't like swimming. And let's see, get out of the water. He tries to punch me in the balls. In transition, come out of transition. He tries to punch me in the balls. He proceeds to like run in front of me. And every time I like try to pass him, he tries to punch me in the balls. Let's see, I finally get pass him, and then finish the race, like beat him, and then get done. And he's just like running around all pissed off and like trying to like 5-star me in the back. And I'm like, dude, why are you so fucking annoying? Like,
What's a 5-star?
That's just when you like slap somebody on the back so hard that they have like an imprint of your hand because there's like 5 little fingers on
What's
here.
What's the thing with the butthole?
The butthole?
Yeah, isn't that a thing?
Did I say something about the butthole?
Well, isn't that like a 5-star and you something to the
I'm glad you don't edit things.
Who told you that?
That's like, I know what it is. I just don't know the name.
Who told you that I don't edit? What are you talking about?
The knuckler? I don't know.
Have you ever you've never even listened to my show?
I've listened to it. No, that's not true. When I first got into OCR and then got surgery, I listened to it all the time. I like did my homework on OCR.
Okay, good for you. Good for you. Because I'm
I don't
definitely
listen to it anymore.
I didn't think so. Well, it seems so. Why do you think Why do you think he's doing this to you? Why do you think he has some? Because I just had him on the show, and just so everybody knows, I wanted to get both of you on together. Neither of you wanted to talk together, which is your right. That's fine. And
I just didn't want to get steamrolled the whole time.
Well, I'm also going to get Morris on, so Morris can give the Spartan perspective on all this craziness.
Yeah. Well.
But he clearly doesn't like you, and I'm curious why you think he doesn't like you, because there's a lot going on here.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because a lot of people were like, Aaron's the next Hunter, which like I didn't really like, but I was like, I don't fucking care. And Hunter would be like, he's not the next Hunter, he's a piece of shit and he's a terrible athlete and blah 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 blah. And I'd be like, okay. I'd get like all these random messages from like Hunter fans that were like, you're such a piece of shit, blah 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 blah. And I was like, okay, like I had no idea, but thanks for letting me know. Yeah, I
So you think that's why?
he's like really good friends with Nicole. And like when you talk to Nicole about it, you're like, why are you friends with this guy? And she's like, well, he's nice to me, but yeah, he is an asshole to like everyone else and all his friends. And yeah, I can see how he's a piece of shit.
Is she talking about you or Hunter?
Hunter. Well, yeah, I can see how she'd be talking about both, but
well, listen,
yeah.
as a guy that people have said, you just have to get to know him. Like people said that about me, and I'm okay with that, right? Like,
yeah. Which like, in some respects I agree with, but then at other times you're like, wow, he like is so bad to his friends, and like his friends like don't talk to him for a while, and then they like come back because like, I don't know, he's like I don't know how much I should say. He's just not that good a guy. Like I think he is like one of the most talented athletes on the planet, and like has just been like given this like amazing ability to like do incredible things. But I think as a person, he's not a good person. But so this is all unrelated now.
No, it is. I mean, I think it's, listen, I people are seeing this unfold in front of them.
Yeah.
And you can say Spartan wanted drama or not. This is a real thing. Somebody smacked somebody, somebody threw a bucket at somebody. This is a real thing that happened. And I'm here to attempt to get to the bottom of it. As I said, I will also be getting Spartan side of things. So let's talk about, did they penalize you in this race?
So here's where the whole Joe thing ties in. So I get done with the race. I'm like, am I DQ'd? And they're like, why would you be DQ'd? Blah, 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 blah. Hunter's like, he threw a bucket at me. And then like slowly Hunter's story, like, as Atkins is like, yeah, I hit him in the stomach. Like, what the fuck? And then even Kent was like, yeah, I hit him in the stomach. Like, I don't know why. Like, he just did. And like Hunter's story slowly evolves into like, yeah, I like hit him in the stomach, but like, it's not a big deal. Like, that's racing, whatever. And Morris is like, wait, so you're saying you like did hit him in the stomach? And Hunter's like, yeah, like, but it's like not a big deal. Like, it is whatever. And so then they like come back to me. They're like, did you throw a bucket at him? And I was like, no, it like fell off my shoulders, whatever. Like pulling the same shit. And like meanwhile, they keep saying they don't have any footage because they didn't find the drone footage yet. And so like every other race they've ever done, they're like, penalties are final after like the race is over. And in this scenario, they were like supposed to be like, yeah, penalties are over once like the next event starts or whatever. And so they like just wouldn't give either of us a penalty. And I was like, well, that's it. Cool. And so did the swim.
How'd you do in the swim?
Came back. I did really good. I don't know, 5th. I honestly don't know, because like this is one of the things they like wouldn't tell us how we did in each event. And it was like, because they had so many like lap format things, you like really didn't know.
But by the end of the day, I feel like they could tell you.
Yeah, they could tell you the like overall at the end of the day, but like you'd be like, so how did I do at the Highland Games, which I still don't know how I did.
Yeah, that was one of the complaints from the audience yesterday, and me too, is like, you got to do that. You got to go, like, here's how this event went. Here's where the number, like they did that thing where like the leaderboard moves, but you got to show that, and then people can screenshot it or just take a moment. So we've got one Josh Chase working very hard on doing backwards math to figure out how everyone did in each event. So Josh will produce that soon, and you'll know exactly how you did.
Yeah, like I think I actually did pretty well in the Highland Games, but
well, listen, you got the money shot. Is that? Do you want anything more than the fucking money shot?
What's the money shot? Oh, the rock. Yeah, where I'm trying to eat a really big rock cheeseburger.
I mean, you've got that for all. That's like, oh, that should go on your reel.
Yeah, I don't know what a reel is, but sure.
Remember we were talking about something yesterday where people wanted footage of you?
Oh, yeah, the Nat Geo thing. Yeah.
That should go on your reel. That should be the beginning, middle, and end.
That'd be sick.
Right?
Yeah. Oh, so we were talking about penalties. Okay. So yeah, finish the swim. I'm like, look, you guys really need to tell me like how much I'm penalized. Cause if like I'm DQ'd from that race, then I'm just like not going to continue because there's no way that I can make up the points.
Right.
And I'll just leave. And they were like, I think this is why they like wouldn't tell me is because Hunter kept being like, I'm just gonna fucking leave if you penalize me at all. And he just kept saying it. There's like footage of him on there being like, if you penalize me at all, I'm just gonna leave. Like, why would I do this? Blah, 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 blah.
So real quick, just to put his perspective on this particular part was he had a big issue. Well, now I'm sorry, I might be confusing timelines. I was talking about the wrestling, and he lost his mind during the wrestling because he said that Kurt didn't finish the swim, and they had said you get a DQ, not a 0 if you don't finish. And so he was like, well, fuck this. This is all bullshit. So,
which he's right. They did say that, but then they backpedaled and were like, well, you're just disqualified from that one event. And we were like, what? And then like next they were like, oh, but like the next couple events you're DQ'd from the whole thing if you don't do the minimum. And we're like, what's the point of a minimum if you're not gonna enforce it? But whatever, that's besides the point.
I feel like if I'm them, right, the points are the points, right?
Yeah.
And if the last two are 0 and a DQ is also 0, so there's multiple zeros.
Yeah.
And if it comes down to a tie, the person with the DQs loses to the person with the zeros. That would be the way I would look at it. But
the funny thing is that Nicole stopped racing it, and they DQ'd her from the entire event and took all her points away. She like didn't do well. I don't know how much I can say. You'll see.
Just say it all.
And then we can.
Karen, Spartan's never giving you a nickel ever again. So you may as well just.
They've never given me a nickel.
But any future nickels that were coming your way are now gone.
Future nickels, yeah. I mean, like they were just raining down before, so like it's been 3 years of me racing professionally, and I've yet to see a single dime.
But did you get a free headband?
I think I got multiple.
Okay, and you got the number you wanted, right?
I did. That had more to do with Nicole petitioning for me than.
And did you get any road chips and/or Fit Aid?
No, I don't want to throw up. Let's see. Okay, wait. We were talking about penalties.
Hang on. I just thought of something. Okay.
Penalties.
Before we get to penalties, listen. This is how my brain works, Aaron. Listen, you come on my show, you're on for the ride. Okay.
All right. Remember when I said this would be a 10-minute thing?
You know how there's the beer mile?
Yeah.
I'm gonna call it the real Spartan cross. And you do a Spartan sprint, but at every obstacle you have to down a Fit Aid and a bag of road chips.
Oh God.
And if you throw up, you have to like.
If you throw up, no, it's when you throw up.
When you throw up, like the beer mile, you have to do another lap. You have to do another obstacle, an extra like loop for every time you throw up for the call it the real Spartan Games.
The hard part about that would be that every time you eat a bag of road chips, you like have to drink something because they're like so salty.
Well, you drink a delicious Fit Aid.
Yeah, I guess so. Okay, penalties. So get done with the swim, and I'm like, look, you guys really need to tell us, blah, 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 blah. And why are you laughing?
Because it would be amazing watching people force down Fit Aids and road chips. I'm sorry, I'm cracking myself up here.
Okay, we'll get Kurt to win on that.
7 cups of coffee this morning.
Yeah, I can tell. So we get done with that, and we're like, you gotta freaking tell us, dude. Like, this is getting ridiculous. And they're like, we're gonna tell you after the Highland Games. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, just fucking tell me. And so we do the Highland Games, whatever. Which was a bit annoying because they told us beforehand that none of us could touch the rocks. Meanwhile, Yancey Culp is giving tips to Hunter and Ryan Kent about how to pick up the rocks, and they're standing there picking up the rocks. This is at like lunch, not even like near the time of the Highland Games.
Explain who Yancey Culp is to everybody listening.
Yancey Culp is the guy in charge of Decafit.
What was his role that weekend?
That was it. I mean, they said that there wasn't going to be any like miscellaneous staff that didn't need to be there, but there was Yancey, Jared Cogswell, a bunch of other random people.
Well, I was watching the tug of war, and he's clearly a line judge.
I guess so. I mean, we don't know that.
Okay.
I mean, we were told nothing. So, I mean, there was a bunch of people. Like the Spartan bubble was like popped immediately. Like,
do you know
as
who?
far as COVID goes?
Do you know who Gary B is?
Gary B. Not really.
If I showed you a
I
picture,
saw him.
if I showed you a picture,
Is he the long-haired guy with the pack on front?
No. Did you watch my story yesterday?
Show me a picture. Yeah, was it the long-haired guy with the pack on the front?
But did you laugh at that picture? That's all I want to know.
Oh yeah, I mean, I really like that guy, and he was pretty funny. But yeah, I thought it was funny.
I have a long story from yesterday. Let's see if Gary's in here.
Who's Gary? Oh, Bracken wants me on his podcast.
Of course he does. Not before me, motherfucker.
Yeah, I know. You always get the first. I give it to you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Listen, I respect those guys a lot. They're doing a great job. I give them props wherever, but they're not me. All right. Do you want to clarify this photo really quickly?
Oh, that's me eating fruit snacks.
Okay. So it wasn't a bag of potato chips?
No, it's fruit snacks. Duh. I'm not unhealthy.
Okay. Here's Yancey as a judge, as a line judge.
Yeah, looking friggin' bored.
Right. But then he woke back up.
I've not watched your stories since.
Okay, there he is, looking at the line.
Wait, who's that? Yancey?
Yeah, that's Yancey.
Wait, so who's Gary?
I'll show you a picture in a minute while you're finishing the story.
Oh, okay. The penalty story, finally?
Yeah, the 10-minute call we're going to have about penalties.
Yeah, the 10-minute call that's turning into a full-on podcast. Yeah, so do the Highland Games and like go to dinner, and we're like, what the fuck's the deal? Like at this point, Hunter keeps coming up to me and being like, look, dude, you've just got to tell him that like we're good, because like it's slowly coming out that like Hunter like initiated this whole thing, and that like he's just acted like an asshole. And meanwhile, me and Atkins are both like, look, he's done this so many times. Like, here's a laundry list of times he's done it. You have him on camera doing this repeatedly. There's a bunch of videos of him doing it at TMX. Like, he does it all the time. And it's not like it's like a like friendly thing. Like, he's being a piece of shit. And like, it's an embarrassment to the sport. Like, Hunter is the reason why OCR has no credibility. Like, nobody has done more to degrade the credibility of the sport than Hunter. Like, all he ever talks about is like, OCR athletes are such terrible athletes, blah, 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 blah. Like, I'm so much better than them. I'm amazing. They're all terrible. Like, it's not just like self-hype. Like, he's also just tearing down the sport. But yeah, so penalties. Sorry, I've just all over the place. So finally, Morris pulls us into a back room, and he's like, they've got a camera on us, and both of us are like, yeah, you're not going to tell us with a camera there. Like, sorry. Like, if you've got a camera out, then it's probably not good. And he was like, what? No, like, we really have to record this. And both of us were like, nope, we're just not going to deal with this. And so then, like, camera goes away. We talked to Morris. He's like, yeah, so like blah, 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 blah. Hunter, you're going to get a 5-minute penalty, which Hunter immediately freaks out. And he's like, I'm just going to fucking leave, blah, 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 blah. Because he's not crunching the numbers in his head. And then he's like, and Aaron, because you tried to hurt him, you get a 10-minute penalty. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, at least give Hunter a 10-minute penalty too, or give me a 5-minute penalty. Like, make it the same. And he's like, and earlier in the day, he was like, well, in hockey, like if you start a fight, then like that's like a problem, blah, 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 blah. And meanwhile, other people are like, yeah, but in hockey, if you initiate a fight, you get a much bigger penalty.
Did Watson?
Well, it's not the same.
Did Watson call in to explain how they would handle it in Formula One?
Yeah, probably. So apparently, according to them, he's like, I've been on the phone all day long. And I'm like, yeah, you're like outside of the like allotted amount of time to like give me a penalty, but like, sure, you've been on the phone all day. And he's like, I've been on the phone all day with Joe, and we're like thinking about how to like give penalties for this because like it's not in the rules and blah 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 blah. And I'm like, yeah, and you're making them up as you go. I get it. And he's like, yeah, like Joe just really thinks that like you need a bigger penalty than Hunter. And I was like, you've got to be fucking kidding me. Like, so because I told Joe that he is like kind of a dirty piece of shit, I am assigned a bigger penalty. And because Hunter is like the only person that Joe knows in OCR, he doesn't. And it turns out that Hunter's penalty doesn't affect the scoring at all. Yeah, and whereas mine
because he beat the next person by more than 5 minutes.
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
supposedly, which we don't actually know because we didn't see the results and we don't know like the time gaps, which doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, actually, I can show you that. I can pull that up because they did show. They did show that. Hang on.
But in my eyes, like they didn't give it to us then, so like how are they credible now? They had 6 weeks to doctor it.
Well, I'm just
and
I'm
like
just
make
I'm
what
just
they think is right.
I'm just curious though. So here's
they royally fucked this up so hard that like I could see them going back and like changing the time gaps.
well, now they did put an asterisk by it for later, like maybe they're going to change it, but here's what they showed us yesterday. Ryan 30 minutes. Kent 34, Hunter 36.
Oh, see, like even that I didn't even know because they told us that Hunter had a big enough time gap that he was still going to be second.
But that's clearly not the case.
Yeah, in this,
but here he's third, and if you give him a 5-minute penalty, he is what's 36 plus 5, 41. He's fourth.
Well, let's see. I can't even see.
Sorry, he's fifth ahead of Grant. Herman's 38, Grant's 42, so he'd be between those two. So he'd be 1, 2, 3, 4. He'd be fourth.
No, he would have done 31:09 according to this.
No, this is before the penalties. Oh, no, unless
this is after the penalties.
You positive? Because you didn't finish this far behind. I'm
positive because I wasn't 16 minutes behind Atkins.
Right. Okay, so he must have been 31, which bumped him from second to third. Did he finish ahead of Kent?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, then there you go.
Yeah, but we don't know any of this, and I don't think that this is actually what we were told, because again, we never saw any of it.
Are you going to watch the show at all, or you don't care?
Like the amount of anxiety that it produces just from seeing a Spartan logo is like far too much for me at this point. Yeah, so get the penalty, whatever. I was like, gotta be fucking kidding me. How did Hunter somehow punch me in the stomach and get less of a penalty? So yeah, that effectively lost me a whole bunch of money, as you'll see at the end, because of the way the points work. So yeah.
This is Gary.
Gary. Oh yeah, I know Gary.
A good guy. We like him.
Yeah, I like Gary. I just didn't know his name.
Now you do.
In my defense, there's a lot of bald bearded people in Spartan. Or there was before they all got fired.
So you said seeing a Spartan logo gives you anxiety. Does this mean we're not going to see you in 2021 in Jacksonville for the first race of the year?
Oh, in 3 months? Yeah, it seems unlikely that I will be in. Well, actually, you know what? I will be in Florida around then because I'm going to do an adventure race, C2C.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
Do you know that guy?
No.
I just did his 50K. He's a good dude.
Oh yeah, that's what Woodsy was saying.
Yeah. We were gonna do an adventure race, like a small one with Woodsy, but he wanted to do the individual category, and I was like, well, fuck you. I don't like. I want.
If I want to do want you on his team,
of course not. That's fine.
I thought he would be on a perfect team,
right? Wouldn't it be?
I wanted to like GoPro the whole thing and stitch together like a collection of like the worst day of Mappy Davis's life.
Dude, like me, I might do it with Scott the Fane Knowles. It just looks like let me get way the fuck out of my comfort zone. I know that phrase is overused, but like, why not? Like, I'm not gonna do I'm not gonna go to fucking Antarctica, but like I could do one in the swamps of Carolina, and like I know I won't die. Like, it'd be fun, right?
Sick. Yeah.
So you're gonna do you're gonna go to sea to sea.
Yeah, gonna go to sea to sea. Hopefully do Expedition Oregon, unless this Nat Geo thing actually pans out, in which case that'd be awesome. I don't think
Well,
I can.
listen,
I can't tell you anything about the Nat Geo thing.
it's okay. Well, Joe Biden is gonna try to close probably some places, but Florida doesn't care anyway. So
I
you're
already
safe.
had COVID.
Well, this isn't like contagion where because you've had it doesn't mean you can't get it again. I mean,
Yeah,
it's still
but
possible.
I'm like pretty immune for a couple months.
Well, the point is, I think Florida will be open, so you should do the Jacksonville sprint.
Florida's always open.
That's what I'm saying. Did you see Contagion, by the way? It's amazing to rewatch it.
Yeah, I've seen it. I at this point, like, I keep crunching the numbers, and I'm like, it's not worth it to go to any national series races. Like, just pull a like Hobie and Cody Moat and just show up to North American championships and world championships. Like,
Dude, we need you.
Or like do what Albin does, say like, fuck off, and then show up at world champs and take the money. Like, I don't know.
Dude, we need you, man. The sport, we need deep fields, and we need people that aren't boring. And you're both of those. You help you mix it up.
If Spartan pays me the money that they owe me plus,
well, that's not going to happen. You can kiss that. You can kiss
no. But even if like 2021 contract was just like, hey, we're gonna pay you what we owe you. How amazing would that be? I'd be like, that's amazing. And I'd be like, sure, yeah, give me a headband. I'll wear the Spartan one instead of the non-still Spartan one. But yeah, I mean, there's like seemingly no perks at all to being on the pro team for me. Like I thought that maybe like 4th at World Champs and 3rd at Ultra Champs and like 2nd in the $1 million thing was like good enough that like maybe I wouldn't get jerked around, but it turns out that it's not enough, and the only way to not get jerked around is like, I don't know, be Robert, who is also had enough of it.
Strange game, Professor. The only winning move is not to play.
Is this Watson?
That was an amazing impression from the 1984 classic War Games.
Oh, now we're talking.
Yeah, man. Matthew Broderick. Love that movie.
You're old. That's like 36 years ago.
Dude, I am old. Aaron Newell.
Yeah, anything else you want to talk about? I mean, fuck it. I'm like rolling at this point. Go for it.
Yeah, well, it's interesting that you said it took like Woods you didn't learn that lesson last year from like Woods.
Oh no, I did, but I was like, yeah, like every time a Spartan pro team person signs off, like seemingly that money has to go somewhere. And so if like I'm the last person it can possibly go to, I do see myself as like one of the best people to like just take the money and like not like just go fuck off in the woods and not be like aroo. So I don't know.
Oh, you're saying like you thought it would be worth something to place well at these races when we have 8 years of history that says it doesn't matter what you do, you're not going to get what you're worth.
Basically, yeah. I mean, I don't know if I'm worth anything. You're worth the amount that someone's willing to pay, but
correct.
Like,
but that I phrased it wrong. Just that like Mignana is Spartan's answer to when is the good money coming. That's just always
yeah, exactly. Like if you talk to Watson, like Watson talked to me after Tahoe and he was like, we're gonna fly you out to Ultra Champs, because I was like, please help me get to these races. Like I have no money. I've raced 40 times this year and I've paid my way to every single one of them. Like, please help me. I got 4th at your World Champs. Like, just help me get to these races because like I can actually do well. And he's like, we're gonna help you out so much. And then like he's like, yeah, just send me the receipts. And like I'm like, hey, all right, so like here's all the receipts. And he's like, oh, we can't do that, mate, but like we're gonna get you a great contract.
Right.
And meanwhile he's like, yeah, you're gonna be riding around in Maseratis. Like that's the classic thing, is he's always like, fucking Maseratis and chicks everywhere and drinks by the pool. And it's like he's just a fucking snake. Like I think Watson is pretty funny and I actually like him just talking to him. But yeah, I like as far as like the integrity of the sport goes, like it's just gone like,
well, let this be the
On a
lesson.
list of like high up people who I think are like really helpful, is like Morris. I think like he does like an amazing job of like putting races together, like incredible, world class. Like he is
I
phenomenal.
agree.
And then Nathan Rackett, who's in charge of the pro team, is like hands down like one of the easy, like not easy, but like you can like talk to him and he will like straight up tell you like I don't know, or like I can't tell you that at this point, instead of Watson, who's just like, yeah man, it's gonna be amazing, like $1 million. Like he'll just be like, yeah, I can't tell you at this point, like, and then the next day he'll be like, how would you like this contract? And I'd be like, yeah, that would be great. And then it's not going to pan out.
Well, let this be a lesson to you, young man. Always get the money up front.
Oh yeah, no, believe me, I've put that together.
In life, I mean.
Yeah. So I've actually been rolling around the idea that we should just like put together a petition to take Joe out of the professional side of Spartan racing, because seemingly like his crew can put together like the race that was put on at Spartan Games without Joe involved would have been like incredible. Like it would have been so well put together. They would have like had all this shit, and then like Joe shows up and he like immediately fucks it up, and he's like, oh, we're gonna take Michael Wardian and make him walk up a hill with a stone slab and make him like break rocks all day, and then like he's gonna fail obstacles because his grip is all fucked up because the night before he was hammering rocks. Like, why the fuck did we need to do that? Like, Joe should not be involved.
Right, but you're not going to get him out of his own company, dude.
No, but at the same time, that's what people said about Lance Armstrong, and it turned out that you can take the Armstrong out of Livestrong. So yeah, I honestly think that the best case scenario for like Spartan cross or like the professional side of Spartan is to not have Joe involved in it at all. Like, he doesn't understand the sport. He genuinely thinks that Hunter and Isaiah are like the best, like the cream of the crop.
Listen, dude, you're a treat. You're a gem.
I'm glad that you didn't get me all worked up. God.